The moment Catherine's mother pointed a finger at my face in front of 37 people, I made a decision that would change everything. I just didn't act on it yet. That's the part nobody talks about. The quiet moment before the explosion. The stillness. The way a man can smile, nod, and pour himself another glass of lemonade while building an exit strategy in his head. My name is Joseph Taylor. I had been married to Catherine for 11 years. I was the man who fixed her parents' leaking basement, drove her sister Zoe 3 hours to the airport at 2 in the morning, and attended 14 family reunions without complaint. 14. I counted. I should have started billing them by year 10. The Taylor-Whitmore reunion happened every summer at Catherine's parents' lake house in rural Tennessee, 40 minutes from civilization. Bad cell service, beautiful water, and enough family tension to make the scenery irrelevant. On the drive there, Catherine's hand rested on my knee while the radio played something we both liked. I remember thinking, we're good. I should have turned the car around and called it a vacation. Zoe met us at the dock, already laughing like she had started the party 3 drinks ago. She was 24, the youngest, and the only member of Catherine's family I genuinely trusted. Behind her came the rest, Catherine's parents, Evelyn and Richard, her older sister Amber, and Amber's husband, Hayes, her brother Bennett, assorted cousins, aunts and uncles, and Dylan, Catherine's 29-year-old cousin, perpetually unemployed, and somehow always the most comfortable person in the room. Evelyn greeted me with a smile that barely qualified. You made it. Wouldn't miss it. She patted my arm the way someone pats furniture they are deciding whether to keep. Family disrespect rarely arrives as one dramatic event. It comes in pieces, small enough to dismiss individually, heavy enough to crush you when stacked together. Saturday morning, Evelyn walked around the breakfast table filling coffee cups. Richard, Amber, Hayes, Bennett, Dylan, Catherine. Then she skipped me and went inside. I sat there with an empty cup. Hayes noticed and looked away. Catherine didn't notice at all. I poured my own coffee. That afternoon, Richard complained about a drainage problem near the dock. He asked Hayes, Bennett, and even Dylan if they could look at it. I can take a look, I said. I fixed your basement. I know the property. Richard spoke over me as if I hadn't opened my mouth. I think Hayes has more experience with this kind of thing. Hayes gave me an apologetic look. I nodded. It was the last time I ever offered that family anything. Dinner was outside beneath fairy lights. The lake was beautiful. Catherine was glowing because these were her people, and despite everything, I still loved seeing her happy. Zoe sat beside me. You okay? She whispered. Outstanding. She knew I was lying. I knew she knew. Then Dylan raised his voice just enough to pull the whole table toward him. So Joseph, Catherine says the business is doing well. What is it again? Landscaping? He knew exactly what I did. Everyone did. I had spent 4 years building a commercial property management company with 12 employees and 43 properties. Property management, I said. Dylan nodded slowly. Right. Like mowing lawns and stuff. Amber laughed. Catherine said nothing. I looked at her. She kept cutting her chicken. Sure, I said. Like that. Her silence cost her more than she understood. On Sunday afternoon, Amber cornered me near the storage shed. I want to be honest with you, she said. Catherine isn't happy. I waited. She's stressed. You work too much. You're obsessed with the business. You don't fit in with this family, and honestly, we think a lot of her unhappiness has to do with you. There it was. 11 years of contempt finally assembled into one clean accusation. This is between me and Catherine, I said. It stopped being between you two when it started affecting the family. I listened while she blamed my hours, my attitude, and my supposed disrespect toward her parents. When she finished, I said, I appreciate the honesty. Then I found Catherine by the lake. Amber just cornered me. I know, Catherine said without looking at me. She told me she wanted to talk to you. You didn't think to warn me? She's not wrong, Joseph. You work too much. You don't try with my family. My mom feels like you don't respect her. Your mother skipped my coffee cup yesterday. She forgot. She didn't forget. Catherine finally looked at me, and there was distance in her eyes. Not anger. Not sadness. Distance. This weekend was supposed to help, she said. Maybe if you tried harder. I've been trying for 11 years. She turned back to the lake. An hour later, I walked onto the back porch and found more than 30 people arranged in the loose formation of a group that had been discussing me. Evelyn stood at the front holding iced tea like a prop. Joseph, we need to clear the air. I looked at Catherine. She stood beside Amber, their shoulders touching. For 15 minutes, Evelyn talked about respect, family, and all the ways they had supposedly tried to include me. Richard nodded. Amber added commentary. Dylan ate a cookie through the whole thing. Then Evelyn delivered the verdict. You have two choices. You can sincerely apologize to this family, and we can move forward. Or maybe it's best if you leave. The porch went silent. I looked at Catherine one last time. She stared at the floor. Apologize or leave, Evelyn repeated. I took a breath and chose the third option. I smiled. Thank you, Evelyn, for the clarity. I went inside, opened the airline app, and found a 6:45 flight from Nashville to Chicago. 3 taps. One way. I packed with the calm of a man who had finally stopped negotiating with reality. Zoe appeared in the doorway. Joseph, don't. Just talk to them. I'm not angry at you. Her eyes filled. You're one of the good ones, I told her. You always were. She hugged me tightly, an apology on behalf of people who would never offer one themselves. Tell Catherine. Tell her yourself, Zoe said. I looked toward the hallway. She's not coming. Zoe's expression confirmed it. I'm sorry, she whispered. You didn't do anything. I carried my bag through the house and onto the porch. Everyone went quiet. Evelyn blinked. You're leaving. You're leaving? You gave me 2 options. I found a third. Bennett stood. Come on, man. Don't. I appreciate it, Bennett. Then I looked at Catherine. Her face had gone white. She had expected me to fold. Catherine, I said her name like a period. Then I drove away. Nobody ran after me. My phone started buzzing 12 minutes into the drive. Catherine, then Amber, then Evelyn, then Catherine again. A text appeared. Where are you going? Call me. This is not okay. Then one final word. Please. Not frightened. Not sorry. Inconvenienced. I turned the phone face down and kept driving. I landed in Chicago that evening and went to the small apartment-style suite connected to my office. I sat in the dark for a while. Then I called my attorney. She answered on the second ring. Joseph, it's Sunday night. I know. I need to know where I stand if I want to move. A pause. Then the sound of a chair. Tell me everything. What Catherine didn't know was that I had been quietly preparing for 18 months. Not because I planned to leave, but because I had felt a draft before I found the broken window. The business was solely in my name. I had restructured it 14 months earlier, after a tense conversation about finances. Our joint accounts existed, but the real equity sat inside a corporate structure my attorney could defend. I had also documented financial decisions made without me, and the pattern of exclusion, not obsessively, not vindictively, but with the instinct of a man who built things and protected them. Monday morning, my attorney called. You're in a strong position. If you move decisively, you control the narrative. By Tuesday, the papers were filed. Catherine was served Thursday at her mother's lake house, where she had apparently stayed waiting for me to return and apologize. She called 11 times in 4 minutes. I ignored every call and sent one text. You stood on the wrong side of the room, she called again. I answered. What did you do? She demanded. What needed doing? You filed for divorce over a family argument. This wasn't a family argument. They treated me with contempt for 11 years. Then they told me to apologize or leave, and you watched. I was going to say something. You didn't. We can fix this. I'm not coming back. You can't just... I already did. I heard Evelyn's voice in the background. This is not over, Catherine said. Yes, I told her. It is. I ended the call. You might expect guilt, sleepless nights, second thoughts. I slept like a stone. The texts kept coming. Amber's were especially audacious. Bennett sent. I didn't think it would go this far, I replied. I did. Zoe called once. Catherine says you blindsided her. She had 11 years of warning signs. That's the opposite of a blindside. After a pause, Zoe said, You didn't deserve what happened. I should have spoken. You're not responsible for them. I still should have. Yeah, I said, you should have. The divorce moved faster than Catherine expected. She thought time would soften me, that nostalgia would drag us into counseling, and return us to the same arrangement with better vocabulary. It didn't. My attorney was surgical. The business assets were protected. The property structure held. The house became the central negotiation, and 7 months later, I walked out of mediation with my company intact and my future clear. 14 months after the reunion, the company had added 6 properties. I promoted 2 employees, hired a director of operations, and took my first real weekends off in years. I bought a downtown condo with clean lines, good light, and no emotional residue. Meanwhile, Evelyn told people I was struggling and the business was failing. That amused me. People who mistake patience for weakness need you to collapse after you leave. Otherwise, they have to face the possibility that your absence is not your punishment, it is theirs. 18 months after the reunion, I attended a property conference in Nashville. At a rooftop reception, I found Hayes near the bar. He looked like he wanted the floor to open. "Joseph," he said, "you look well." "I am well." He stared into his drink. "I didn't agree with how that weekend went. You were there." "I know. You didn't say anything." He looked ashamed. "I know that too." The old Joseph would have accepted the apology and helped him feel better. "I appreciate you saying it," I told him, "but an apology after the fact when there's no cost to it doesn't mean much." I picked up my drink, "Have a good evening," and I walked away. Choosing yourself is rarely loud. It is a bag packed while your wife studies the floor, a one-way ticket booked in 3 taps, a phone left face down, a lawyer called instead of a spouse. The revenge was not one dramatic moment. It was the choice I repeated every morning, to build something that belonged entirely to me. Evelyn wanted me to beg, Catherine wanted me to return, Amber wanted me to struggle, Dylan wanted something, though I still have no idea what. I gave none of them what they wanted. They offered me 2 options. I took the third. For a long time, I thought the third option was leaving. It wasn't. The third option was not looking back. 14 reunions. 14 times I showed up. Years of pouring my own coffee and standing in rooms that had decided not to see me. They spent years making me invisible. The day I walked out, I made them disappear, and I didn't need to be in the room to do it.